Oh, can you hear me now? How does that sound? Okay, good Sunday afternoon. It's about 12:08 on Sunday afternoon, and we are talking about storms all the way from the Gulf Coast up to the Midwest today. A lot of people in the path for these storms that are likely to start in the next few hours and then continue into the overnight hours tonight and into tomorrow morning. So you guys know the drill whenever I forecast from home, which I often do on the weekends. I got to check my audio real quick. So let me check my audio and then we will get started here and we'll get to your forecast. But here, I'll pull up some of the... I got to check my audio. Okay, it sounds good to me, so it should sound good to you as well. Here we go. Let's start with your radar right now. What do we see across the U.S.? Here's my favorite game to play. Oftentimes it's the front, spot the front. Right now we're going to say spot the low pressure system. Do you guys see these swirling of wind barbs up here? There is the low pressure system just over Chicagoland right now. So that will be driving a lot of the storms today. We actually have a brand new watch in place, and let's go and take a look at this watch right now. We are in a tornado watch. This afternoon through about 7 o'clock, for storms that are moving out of St. Louis right now. So it looks like St. Louis may have skipped a lot of the biggest storms, but still Champaign, Illinois, Lafayette, Indianapolis, Evansville included in this tornado watch again until 7 o'clock this afternoon. And let me see if I can get a little bit more details on this watch here while we're talking about it. Tornado watch. The National Weather Service doesn't give a ton of details here. They're just watching for a slow increase in intensity that's anticipated through the early afternoon hours in this area. So once again, this goes until 7 o'clock this evening. And I can see your questions on here. Let me see if there's anything that I can answer right now. Jonathan asks, where does the big hail expect to hit in southern Indiana and Louisville area? So I do have your hail forecast, and we'll just skip ahead. Let's get right into that hail forecast, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about what happened late last night, and then we'll talk about what happened or what's expected to happen today. So whenever we talk about southern Indiana and Illinois, is that Louisville area? We're looking at between $50 to golf ball size hail today. I think the better chances will be down in the southern portion of the state. The farther north that you go, the lower those hail sizes will be. So there's just a quick look at the hail forecast. I'll talk about timing here in just a few minutes, but I do want to get to one other thing on our radar before we get into, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning just outside of St. Louis. So let's take a look at that. One second, and I'll get that pulled up for you all. Where else are we watching from today? Where's everyone from? We can kind of tailor the forecast to where you guys are from and where you're watching for. Maybe we had someone last night watching out of Denver, but for Oklahoma City. So where are you watching for today? Okay, here's this severe thunderstorm warning that's been going on for quite some time now, just outside of College Station. Here's College Station. Here's Temple, Texas, Taylor, Texas area. This area just got hit about 2 weeks ago. This is warned for $50 size hail, so maybe we could see some hail out of this storm again. I was looking at some of our more specific radars earlier, and it does look like this storm is most likely producing some hail, or at least was earlier. It's probably not terribly big, but there's probably some hail in this. Let's see if we can get... switch radars here. There we go. So yeah, probably a little bit of hail out of the storm that's going into Cameron right now. Let's switch and go up to St. Louis because we do have a brand new warning up in St. Louis that we'll talk about, and then we'll get into your forecast here. Here's St. Louis. Here is Steelville. Steelville, just up the highway here, right between Springfield and St. Louis. Rolla, Missouri is probably the biggest town in this area. It's just outside of Rolla. Yeah, we probably got a little bit of hail in this. What did the National Weather Service warned it for? Quarter size hail, so not terribly large, but maybe we'll see those hail sizes increase as it goes. I mean, it's headed directly to St. Louis right now. It's moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. And so if we go on and we take a look at how far away this storm is from St. Louis itself, we'll be able to tell when that should arrive in St. Louis. It's about 70 miles away from St. Louis, and what did I say, 50 miles an hour? So a little over an hour, maybe an hour 20, until we get the storm to St. Louis itself, and maybe it'll move into some favorable environment here, conditions for some larger hail. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But while we're waiting for that storm to approach St. Louis, let's get back to your forecast for today. I actually want to pause and take a look at what we saw last night. Take a look at what we saw last night. Here is your hailstorm highlight. Oof, and the date on this. You know, I always do such a good job updating these things, but I always miss like one or two things in the forecast. So here, you're going to watch me update this in real time. Officially updated. March 29th, we had a 4-star event from Mustang to Chickasha into Duncan and Purcell, Oklahoma. So if we back this up just a little bit here, you'll be able to see the wide view of those storms that came into southern Oklahoma, just to the south of Oklahoma City. Last night, this was pretty late at night into early this morning. We were up covering this storm last night, and here, I want to make this screen a little bit wider so you guys can see the screen better. This is some of the stuff you don't get to see whenever we're on the green screen. You don't get to see us moving around all these graphics, making it bigger, making it smaller, making it so you guys can see it better. Oh, it's going to give you like a headache looking at that flash back and forth. Okay, let's move on. So this is our 4-star map from yesterday. I think what really pushed it into that 4-star category were these storms down in Mustang. Mustang is just outside of Oklahoma City by like 15 minutes. I think if you actually look at the map for Oklahoma City, Mustang is like inside of the city. So it's very, very close to the city. It is in the metro. The storm really started to weaken as it moved into Bethany last night. We got a few storms down in Texas as well. All of those storms are mapped on the Hail Trace app. So go ahead and take a look at that app if you are interested in any of those storms for today. It is a bit cooler behind all of those storms that we saw last night. We're a bit cooler here in Oklahoma City. I just walked my dog earlier, and I probably needed a jacket, probably needed an extra layer than just my vest right here. We're cooler up in Denver, all the way into Nebraska, South Dakota. Even portions of Iowa are split in half between that really warm air and that cold air. And anytime we see a change like this, we know that we are going to have some sort of wet weather. Now, is that going to be rain? Is it going to be snow? In this case, yes, it's severe weather. You guys know at this time of the year, we're watching for severe storms. So what do we have going on right now? We've got those storms that are just outside of St. Louis, kind of bookending the city. Both of them severe warned now, one on the east side of the city, one on the southwest side of the city. Nothing severe out to the east coast, but that will change as we go into Monday. We've got another severe thunderstorm warning right in the central portion of Texas outside of College Station. So temperatures are in the 40s here in Oklahoma City, 40s up in Kansas City, but much warmer as you go out to the south and east. And what do we always talk about that you need for storms? You need heat, right? You need temperatures in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and you need moisture, and that is exactly what we see right here. We've got some really good moisture anywhere from the Gulf Coast all the way through the Midwest, pushing out to the south and east as we head into the late night hours tonight. So let's take a look at your forecast. Actually, I want to get to some of these questions I see on here. Steven says, Oklahoma City, I missed. So Oklahoma City got storms to the south and west of the city in the Mustang area last night. Dallas, we had storms to the south and to the north of Dallas, but I don't know if we actually had storms in Dallas proper. Here, I can pull up our local storm reports from yesterday. Give me just a minute. Yesterday's local storm reports. What camera view do we have for this? There you go. Yeah, some right in Dallas. I know some people are saying no hail in Dallas. You must be looking in the wrong places because we did get mini hail reports in places like Allen, just to the south of Dallas, and places like Cleburne and just to the west of Cleburne. I always hope that I'm saying that correctly. I don't know if I am. But here, let me zoom down into Dallas and we can show you all the reports that we got yesterday. So this was pretty late in the evening. Storms had started, I think, right around like 7 o'clock last night and then continued into the late night hours. And where did that go? Yesterday's local storm reports. There you go. Go down to Dallas. Come on. No? There we go. Okay. So yeah, we're talking about Allen, Texas, up here. Storms just to the north of Fort Worth, to the south of Dallas proper, and then really I think some of that bigger hail was farther back to the south and west, just in between I-20 and I-35. That's where we saw some of those larger hailstorms. Victor says 1/4 inch just to the south of Austin, Texas. Hazlitt was one of the places that we've got a hail report as well. That was actually one of the first ones of the evening. I think, is that Hazlitt just right north of Fort Worth? I think so. Alrighty, moving back to the forecast now. I just wanted to talk about some of those storms that we got yesterday. We actually got some hail outside of Kansas City, up to the north of Kansas City, halfway between KC and St. Joe, and then out to the southeast of Kansas City, and I can't remember the town name that got hit out there. But here's an overview of what we're expecting to see over the next 48 hours. This is the Storm Prediction Center's risk, highlighted here in yellow and in orange. That's where we're most likely going to see the biggest threat for tornadoes, high wind, and even some hail. And here I'll outline the better chances for hail in some of these areas. We've got 2 areas I'm watching for, one to the south and one to the north, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But these storms are expected to start firing now, which is exactly what we're seeing, and then continue as we head into the late night hours tonight, overnight, and even into early tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning, you'll most likely be waking up with storms down in the Gulf Coast, anywhere from Mississippi to Alabama to Georgia. And then by tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon, we're going to continue to see this line of storms push off to the east, finally exiting the U.S. off the East Coast by the late evening hours. We're going to say between about 7 and 10 o'clock. So for today, what is your max hail size? I would say right around golf ball to hen egg size hail. Somewhere in the U.S. will we see a report of 2-inch size hail or larger? I think that's absolutely a possibility. Somewhere in the U.S. Now, not all hailstones. You know the drill here. Most hailstones will be 1/4 size or smaller. Some of those hailstones, some of those storms will produce that larger hail, ping pong, golf ball size hail. We're not saying everyone, but we do have a good chance today. I'm not quite sure why my hail forecast is cutting off right here. I wish that it wouldn't. It didn't do that earlier, so I'm not quite sure what's going on right here. But we do have a chance, good chance, down in the southern portion of the U.S. to get that hail anywhere from Dallas all the way to Louisiana, and I've got that hail forecast for you here in just a minute if you missed it earlier. Someone asking, how is Chicago looking for today? Great timing. So Chicago, it looks like storms should fire up here pretty soon in Chicago, and then we're going to see in this hail forecast. Oh, there we go. Now it's filling in down to the south. Okay, so let me go back to the graphics here. Hooray! We've got data down in the southern portion of the U.S. now. So yes, Dallas all the way to Louisiana, I think has a pretty good chance for some large hail today. And then we've got another area anywhere from Chicago to St. Louis right in here for Illinois and both Indiana for also some large hail today. And the hail model isn't showing it as well as our lapse rates were. Earlier I was looking at lapse rates, and it really does define 2 different areas to look for hail today. And then maybe a very slim corridor for hail anywhere from Arkansas to the western side of Tennessee. However, as we go farther east into Tennessee and Kentucky, I think that hail risk will go down pretty significantly. So And you know why I don't think that this is moving as quickly as I would like it to? Let me adjust my timing here. Let's see if we can get some better data. Okay, now let's try one more time. So much better. There we go. Okay, so you can see that hail risk moving through Chicago, that hail risk decreasing right around 4 o'clock this afternoon. St. Louis, really similar. Anywhere in the Midwest, you're going to see that hail risk decrease by the time the sun goes down. However, we continue to see some pretty decent chances for larger hail down to the south into our Gulf states, anywhere from the eastern side of Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. By the time we get to Georgia, that risk goes down. You can see that one more time here. I'll play this through into early Monday. And Monday, that hail risk goes down pretty significantly as well. I think that today is the best chance to get some large hail until we get to Tuesday. And yes, we do have a risk on Tuesday, and we have a risk on Wednesday as well. So taking a look at the actual hail forecast that I've created for today, what I did was I looked at lapse rates, I looked at that hail forecast that I showed you earlier, I looked at where will storms be, when will they arrive. We looked at a lot of different things, including things like photographs, the analysis of shear, the analysis of a vertical view of the atmosphere, so not just looking horizontal like what you're looking at right now down on the earth, but we also look at from the ground all the way up. You know, what are we looking at in there? So either way, I spent the morning forecasting, and here's what I came up with. Shreveport to Jackson, that's the best place to get some larger hailstones. If we see a 2-inch size hail report or larger, most likely that will be down anywhere from Shreveport to Jackson. A low risk for storms out in Dallas today. I know that a lot of people asked about Dallas yesterday. Pretty low risk today, but as you head farther to the east in Texas, you're going to see that hail chance increasing. Up to the north, we've got some people jumping on from Indianapolis today. Indianapolis, it does look like we have a decent chance. I'd call it a level 2 on a scale of 5. So that's highlighted there in that yellow icon. And I can pull up our hail risks. There you go. There's your risk level right there. A level 2 to get anywhere from $50 to golf ball size hail in Indianapolis. Again, the farther east that you go into places like Cincinnati and Nashville, that risk for large hail goes down. So I think the best places to get large hail will be anywhere from St. Louis to Little Rock, Shreveport, Jackson, and we'll include Indianapolis in that list as well. What about your wind risk? Well, that wind risk is going to be a lot more promising anywhere from Little Rock to Cincinnati to Jackson. So there's like an area right in here that I would highlight for some high wind. Your high wind up to about 70, 75 miles an hour today. Nothing too extreme. I mean, this is something that we would get with any thunderstorm. You could get about 60 to 70 mile per hour wind speeds. Still, 70 mile per hour wind has the potential to be damaging, so make sure that you are keeping an eye on that. I still think that these early storms like Chicago and St. Louis are going to have some lower wind speeds right around 60 to 65 miles an hour, and then those wind speeds will pick up as we go throughout the rest of the day and farther off to the east. The tornado risk, definitely something that you have to keep your eye on today, because that tornado risk looks really, really impressive from Cincinnati down to Little Rock, just to the south of Indianapolis. Nashville included in this as well. Most of eastern Arkansas, Memphis included in this. I'm trying to see any other cities that aren't mentioned on here. We've got like Owensboro, Kentucky on there. Just got hit by some hail just about 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago at this point. What does the dashed lines mean? Those dashed lines, we call this a hatched risk. And for a tornado, what that means is we've got the potential for strong tornadoes, stronger than an EF2 is what we consider a strong tornado. So EF3, EF4, EF5 is what we consider a strong tornado. And so what the Storm Prediction Center says is we have the chance for a strong tornado in this area that is dashed, which means portions of the northeastern side. of Alabama, northern Mississippi, eastern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and a good portion of western Kentucky and Tennessee. So that's the area today to watch for tornadoes. One question about hail in North Alabama. So you may have to wait until late tonight or early tomorrow morning for North Alabama. You've got a while for North Alabama. And actually this brings us to the perfect timing for your timeline here. Storms, actually I'm going to start this over. Let's try this one more time. Here we go. Storms are firing up just to the east of St. Louis right now. We've got a lingering line of storms farther down to the south, and those could make their way into St. Louis, or at least into the southern side of the city within the next hour. Chicago, I'm actually surprised we don't have any storms in Chicago right now. I want to look at our radar. No, we do not. I'm actually a little surprised about that. Now we have some little ones forming. Could that form into something that will move into Chicago soon? Here, let's look. So what I'm watching for are these little blips on the radar. As they move to the east, will those move into Chicago as something stronger? It's possible. I'm surprised, actually, that we don't have anything in Chicago right now. But models, aren't always right. So Chicago, you've got another few hours to expect those storms. I would say smaller hail, anywhere from the size of a $50 to maybe, if you're lucky, ping pong ball size hail. I think that you're probably going to stay on the smaller side today, though. Storms will continue to progress to the east into Indianapolis, looking at timing here right around 3 to 5, 6 o'clock this evening. For the Midwest, you're going to be severe clear pretty early on compared to the rest of us. So we're talking about 9, 10 o'clock. Most of these storms will be out of the Midwest. And then our attention focuses farther down to the south into places like Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. So you can see this line of storms that slowly unzips itself all the way down to the south into the evening hours. And that's whenever we'll start to see the southern side of the U.S. really explode with these storms. And that'll be through the overnight hours tonight. So we're talking about late tonight into early Monday morning for portions of northern Louisiana, the central portion of Mississippi, northern Alabama. And again, any tornado that forms right here, this is going to be dark, late night storms. Could cause for a very dangerous situation. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. As we go into early Monday morning, storms will continue to track out to the east and into the East Coast here. You can see that play one more time through for Sunday. So I'll give it some time so that you can look at your spot and see when storms are coming through for your spot on Sunday. This is the HRR model. I know a lot of people like to know which model we're using. So this is the HRR HRRR model. Alrighty, moving on. What's our next graphic? What are we talking about next? Tomorrow? We're talking about tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, starting around 7 o'clock, those storms will be anywhere from the eastern side of Tennessee and Kentucky all the way down to our Gulf states. And then we'll see this move farther down to the south and east as we head throughout the rest of the afternoon. And into the late night hours, it'll become more of a northeastern issue into the late night hours. We've got some rain going into New York and Boston, but that severe risk, I think that severe risk is going to be low up in our New England states. That severe risk is going to be a lot more promising anywhere from the Virginias all the way down to the south into places like South Carolina and Georgia. Wait. Oh no, you gotta move your feet. Okay. This is what I get for working from home. I've got a little dog walking under my feet. Let's take a look at the hail forecast for tomorrow. That hail forecast looking, as I mentioned, a lot more promising down to the south and east, anywhere from the Carolinas all the way out to Alabama. We had someone asking, what was the question? Oh, Emma. Hey, Emma. Oh, poor little girl. There you go. She's all caught up in my cords over here. Poor little doggy has no idea. Alrighty, moving on to our hail forecast for tomorrow. What was the question earlier? We talked about the northern side of Alabama. Okay, so again, that's going to be an overnight issue. Northern Alabama will be late tonight, early tomorrow morning, probably by your morning commute. 7, 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow, you're going to start to see those storms move out. Could you see some hail with this? Yeah. Do I think it's going to be on the smaller side? Yeah. That tornado risk is definitely there in northern Alabama. Mobile, I think that as you go farther down to the south in Alabama and into Georgia, you could probably get a better chance for some decent hail. Tomorrow, your hail forecast size, I brought it down. I brought it down to golf ball size hail, and I think that's only going to be very isolated. I think that for the most part, we're probably going to be on this side of those hail sizes, anywhere from ping pong, even smaller, down to marble size hail for tomorrow. I think that tomorrow, the biggest risk is going to be a wind and tornado risk, because you can see that that level 3 tornado risk is still on the board here. And that wind risk is also increased for places like Montgomery, Tallahassee, Atlanta, and Columbia. So this is not the only chance for storms that we have this week. It really just kicks off or continues to string in a series of storms that we're expecting all the way through Wednesday. So Wednesday or Thursday. We may actually have a risk going into Thursday at this point. So here we go on Tuesday. We have a risk mainly in the northern side of the plains. So we're talking about Iowa to Nebraska to northern Kansas and northern Missouri. And then we even have a low risk all the way down into Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Dallas. For Wednesday, that risk shifts to the east, including a lot of people who are watching right now. Chicagoland, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, a very, very similar risk for Wednesday that we are seeing today. So it's almost like a rinse and repeat. You've got those storms today. You've got another chance for storms on Wednesday. It's like a train of storms, just one car after another, after another, after another, one storm risk after another, after another, after another. And yes, I was correct. We do have a risk on Thursday as well. We have another chance for storms by Thursday as this system continues to move to the east. So what is this? We have had a risk, I feel like 7, if we include Thursday, that'll make it about 7 or 8 days in a row, because I know this past week was really busy. I'll have to go back and look and see how many days in a row that is, with a pretty decent risk for storms. You can see that this active pattern continues from some of our upper air models here. What we watch for in these upper air models are these, ooh, that was a perfect example right there. It's these troughs. So what we see is a dip in the jet stream. This is a pretty deep dip in the jet stream there, usually associated with a low pressure system, which you can see right here over places like the Dakotas into Minnesota. There's your low pressure system. And anytime we see these reds pop up, we call this a jet streak. We know that there are going to be storms in this area. So what did I say? Wednesday? There you go. Storms on Wednesday in just about the same area that we have storms for today. Thursday, these move to the east, but it takes its sweet time to move to the east on Thursday. Friday, we may finally get a break, but it does look like next Saturday we may have another round of storms in Oklahoma City and Texas. Yeah, look at that. Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday. So we could do this all again next weekend. We're going to do this again in the middle of this week, and then again next weekend. Y'all pray for our meteorologists here at Hail Trace. They're going to be very busy. And your roofers too, staying busy out there. So there's your upper air models. Here's your temperatures. So you want to get out today, maybe go survey some of those areas out in Mustang, Oklahoma that got hit yesterday, northern Texas and McKinney and Allen, Texas that got hit by that quarter-sized hail yesterday as well. We had quarter to $1/2 size hail, I think is what we saw down there. Temperatures are pretty nice in Texas, 88. in Dallas, 62 in Oklahoma City. Getting out in Kansas City today. We saw storms yesterday in Kansas City, just to the north, halfway between KC and St. Joe, and then down to the south and east. It's 52 for your high today. You're going to want a jacket, maybe a vest, as you head out the door today. Tomorrow, also looking like we've got a cold start, but temperatures try to warm back up tomorrow, 60s and 70s down to the south, 40s and 50s in KC. Finally, by about Tuesday, we do see some of that warmer air return. We are finally in the 80s here in Oklahoma City, really nice. 60s up in Kansas City, 56 in St. Louis, and then we've got the 70s and 80s farther down to the south and east. Wednesday. 60s, 70s, not too bad. Pretty normal for this time of the year, maybe a bit warmer than average on Wednesday, and pretty similar on Thursday. 60s and 70s is what I see for most everyone. Now, I know that there's some people that jump on from Denver. Unfortunately, Denver looks like you're going to be staying on the cooler side this week, and you are storm free. You're probably not seeing any of those severe storms for at least a little bit, but that's pretty common. Usually Denver doesn't get storms until later in the season. Usually we see this very southeast Texas type of outbreak in the early season, and then that risk slowly shifts to the west into places like Denver and into the northern plains, like into the Dakotas, Wyoming, Nebraska, later in the season. And that's exactly what we're seeing this year. We're starting out to the southeast and then up to the plains. Kind of this area has been very, very prone for storms over the last few weeks. Taking a look at your future wind gusts, will it be windy today? Not terribly windy. I mean, you've got high winds from severe weather, but other than that, it won't be too bad. We get a break on Tuesday. It looks really nice on Tuesday morning, but by Tuesday afternoon, that wind returns, and so do those storms. That shifts to the east with some high wind on Wednesday afternoon, farther down into the eastern portion of Texas, into the Gulf Coast, and portions of the Midwest. Extended temperature outlook here. We're looking into the first week of April at this point. It does look like temperatures are likely to stay above average first week of April. And now this is the most telltale sign that we're still going to get some very active weather. What are our precip chances? So this is your extended rain outlook. And the greens show the chance to be wetter than normal. Now this could come in a lot of different forms. Is that rain? Is that snow? This time of year, you know the drill. It's severe weather. It's April, so it's severe weather. So we have a pretty good chance to stay active in this area that we have been staying active in, which is that a surprise to anyone? I just showed you risks through Thursday. And Thursday is the 3rd of April. So maybe from the 3rd to the 7th, we'll still continue to see some activity. Lots of storms, lots of storms. There is your forecast for today. Thanks for jumping on. On this Sunday at noon, we are tracking storms right now. Here, let me see. What do we have right now? We'll go back one more time to look at your full radar. Okay, so right now we have storms anywhere from the east of St. Louis, from Decatur, all the way to, what is this? Hoffman, Illinois. And they're slowly stretching up to the north. We'll see if some of these storms could intensify and come into Chicago within the next hour. And then we've got another little line of storms, maybe 2 more, to the west of St. Louis. And that could come right into the city over the next hour as well. So we're tracking these storms. We're also tracking the little storm that has been going on for quite some time. Let me see if I can get a good view of this storm. So this storm started back in Kylene, Texas, continued to track to the east, re-intensified as it is now going into College, just to the north of College Station right now. I think it's warned for quarters. Let's look. Quarter size hail is what it's warned for. But it's the little storm that just that lone storm out in Texas. The Lone Star State, the Lone Storm State. Alrighty, so we're tracking storms right now. Of course, we are going to get even busier as these storms extend to the south and up to the north, and then track to the east as we go into the rest of the, oh, I'm going to take this off, as we go into the rest of the day. So we'll be tracking these storms today. As always, if you need to get signed up for one of our maps, we of course will have those hail, wind, and tornado maps available for you all in almost real time. You know, we have METs tracking those storms right now, and then they go back through on the next day. The following day, they go back and QC everything just to make sure everything is perfectly correct for you, or as correct as we can possibly get it within a certain degree, or a degree of certainty. Give us a call at 855-334-4245 for a wind, hail, or tornado map, or email us at info@hailtrace.com. We can get you signed up even if it is the weekend. We still have people standing by to get you signed up, whether it is Saturday or Sunday or Monday through Friday. We will have someone ready to help you guys out. And of course, if you have any questions about using the app while you're out in the field, if you're having any issues with that, you can always call that number that you see right there, 855-334-4245, and we can get you connected with someone who can help you use the app as well if you're having any troubles operating the app while you're out in the field. We want to make this as easy as possible for you. So have a fantastic Sunday. I'll probably see you pretty soon. We're going to jump over to the office. We're going to get on the green screen and we're going to track these storms for you. So we'll see you soon. Make sure you have those alerts turned on so that you know when we are going live. Have a good Sunday. We'll see you soon.